today to show you my latest creation. This is my 3D printed sweeper car version 2. If you've seen some of my other videos in the past, you've probably seen my version 1 sweeper car that I designed, I don't know, 3 years ago. It worked pretty well, but I made it out of PLA and it was starting to fall apart, so I thought I'd take a crack at making a version 2 of it. And so here's what it looks like. I'm going to go over some of the features, air quotes, features of this that make it different from V1. So let's just start with the drivetrain. That is pretty much the same. There really hasn't been a change to it. I've looked at some other people that have done sweeper cars and how they did their drivetrain, and I could make some improvements, admittedly, but I already had this set up, and rather than reinvent the wheel, I decided, hey, this already worked okay, well enough on my V1, so I more or less kept it the same. What I did do is I made the car itself a little longer by a couple inches because I wanted to try doing bogies instead of the 2-axle setup I originally had. The 2-axle, my intent was that it would be able to take tighter curves and keep the nose pointed on the tracks better. And it worked, but I did have a couple derailments, and I'm hoping that this 4-axle setup prevents that. You can see I have my track sweeping brush attached to the bottom. I am track powered, so that does help keep the track running, or the trains running a little better on clean track. I put this deflector on, and it works pretty well. This here, I originally had it for ballast in case you wanted to weigh the front of this down, but it really doesn't need it with the weight of the motor here and the lead weight I installed as a counterweight over here. And you'll see in here, this has got the battery and the electronics, so it's got enough weight as it is. I don't really need to put anything here, but it's kind of dead space because my belt is this long, and so I needed the motor this far away from the sweeper to work anyway. I guess I could get it closer and put like a third belt in here or a third pulley in here or something, but for me this is just the easiest way to do it. Now if you have a different size pulley, you're going to need to pull the motor back or forward to make that work. So I am going to put all these files on Thingiverse, so if you want to try downloading and running your own, you can. Just know that because of the way my arms are attached, this is about as close as I could get the motor to be. And I believe I'll put the information in the description of the video. I think this is a 6-inch or a 12-inch belt. So like I think this dimension here is 6. And so if you count the whole length of the belt, it's a 12. And it's like a 6mm wide belt. So you can get these belt and pulley systems from like 3D printer replacement parts, and that's what I did. This motor, I have no idea where I got it. It's just some generic brushed motor. Any brushed motor, okay, not any, almost any brushed motor will suffice. You really don't need a high-powered setup for what I'm doing here. This just happens to be what I had, and it did take some jerry-rigging to put like some copper inserts in here to get the shaft of the motor to align with the diameter of the pulley, but hey, it's done now. All right, let's get to some of the more fun stuff. So this, my old setup just had it all exposed, everything just kind of hanging out, and I was using a direct battery connection. So all I did is I plugged I plugged my battery in, I had an on-off switch, and it just turned it on. And it ran off a 1-cell battery, because if I had any more power, which is 3.7 volts, if I used any more power like a 7-volt or a 9-volt battery, this thing just spun way too fast, and I didn't need that. This setup, I changed it up. So I have a 8-volt, approximately like 7.2 volt RC car battery, because I do a lot of RC stuff. So I have an RC car battery, have it tied to an on-off switch, and then this is a DC motor controller that was less than 10 bucks on Amazon. And so let me just go ahead and turn it on. Let me get the sweeper out of the way so it doesn't try to take off. So when I turn it on, it just auto goes, and I can adjust how fast. I can crank it up or turn it down, and then when I'm done, just turn the power off. And the good thing about this is, number one, I can adjust how much I want the sweeping action to do. But the better thing is just I can use any size battery I want now, up to a limit. I think these things can go up to 12 volts or something. So I can plug in my batteries in this and have it have a lot more capacity than the old 1S batteries, which only lasted a dozen minutes at most. I'm hoping that this RC car battery will let me go for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes before it needs recharging. And this is just much nicer and cleaner anyway, right? Getting everything tucked in there, and you put this lid on, and it looks a lot better. So I'm happy with that. Other than that, I did put, I do hook and loop on my railroad, but here's a little tongue that you could put whatever coupler type you want on there. I did make it try to look like it's an actual piece of rolling stock, sort of. It's not perfect. Let me get the focus there, with the wood panels on the side. This, if I wanted to, I should put a little box around this. This is lead, so at the very least, I'm gonna paint this so the lead's not exposed directly to the air. Not that I'm too worried about it, but still, just to be cautious. I think that's about it. So why don't I go ahead and get this on the track and get some footage of it rolling along. All right, so let's give her a go. Turn on the power. There it's going. Give it some speed. And there she goes.